try to help us comply with the time frames that we have been working with the BDDC and the City Council on, as the City Council will be doing some of the same things. I think it just happens to work out well as well because you have 3 applications already scheduled for the 10th that look to be that they may have quite a bit of public interest and will take up some time, Bingham School among them. And in your July meeting you have the 3 Bristol Hospital applications already. I know we discussed in April, before we scheduled the hospital for today, that there might be some conflicts. So it just seems to be that it works out to help us meet our needs to start what is probably the largest economic development project in the past 30 years in Bristol, and it also meets with kind of where you thought your scheduling was going. So if we don't have this, take a shot at getting this done before June 10th. Again, we're off another half a year with this project, and the aren't time frames that are set by us. It's there's 5 balls in the air, and we're just trying to knock your pins down one at a time.
Are you saying it's a prerequisite to have an approved site plan before you can go in and get the CHAMP funding?
Everything is scored on points. So they have hired a consultant for the purpose of preparing their CHAMP grant. And the farther along you are with every... So I don't want to misspeak and tell you. I'd have to bring in the consultant to verify that for me. So I'm not sure that we would have to have final site plan approval to file the CHAMP grant. But I would tell you, if we don't have site plan approval, it would certainly take points off the scoring of the application. So it is my understanding, speaking to Ryan Porter and the consultant after the BDC meeting on Monday, that it is imperative we try to get the site plan heard before the application date. And we were all together Monday night after the BDC meeting here.
But conceivably you could go forward without an approved plan. I just want to get an understanding.
I would assume,
when you presented it earlier, you said if we didn't approve it, that it would have to wait until December. And so it sounded to me like it was a do or die, and I'm not hearing that now. I just want to understand.
Most of the issues we have at this point, Commissioner Del Mastro, are do or die. Everything is do or die. Everything is something in front of the other. So we're looking for an accommodation to try to get this project going. Renaissance has got all stops out. They've hired architects, they've hired engineers. They're doing everything they can to promote the revitalization of downtown Bristol.
So what you're requesting is a special meeting of the zoning to try to hammer this out before June 10th.
Yes.
Okay.
It puts us in a position to apply for this CHAMP grant. It puts us in a position to meet the city's set goals to have a finance development plan in place in the month of June, so that the CHAMP grant can get approved. They look at it over the summer, and September is their deadline for awarding the grants, and then to try to have a closing within this calendar year. And this is a major cog in the timing of it, which is the reason why other commissions, being the BDDC and the City Council, are looking to their special meeting dates to try to accommodate the same things. What do you think?
I don't have a problem with it. I'm sick and tired of looking at that parking lot across the street. I want to see something there. I'm getting to the point where I'd like to see a ball field there, but that's not part of this discussion. But we got to do something, and if it means scheduling a special meeting to accommodate Renaissance's application to get this thing going, then I'm all for it.
I agree. I have no problem scheduling a special hearing just to, try to give them a chance to give their case before the June 10th meeting.
Anyone else?
No comment.
We've had a tough road to hoe on this whole project. To me, I also don't want the zoning board to come out with egg on their face to look like we're the bad guys all the time. And I kind of agree with Commissioner Cunningham that, you know, we got to bend a little bit and give this a shot. The one thing that bothers me, though, is if we do grant this, and I guess Alan could come up with it, Alan's always able to come up with something great for me. I just don't want to say, okay, we're going to give you this special meeting, and then I don't want developers down the road, everybody coming in and going like, well, you gave Renaissance one, now you got to give us one. I mean, to me, this is a very special application, and I will not allow any developer to come in and just play that game with me and say, well, you have to do that. No, we don't have to do that.
What happens if we have the special meeting and we have issues with what's presented?
That's a good question.
So are we going to be then say, well, gee, zoning, you've got to approve this because you're holding this whole thing up. We can't put our application in. I think we're going to just keep boxing ourselves in. We're going to be boxed in.
We're not asking you to approve the application tonight. We're not asking you to do anything out of the ordinary. We're asking you to give us the opportunity to get to a special meeting on June 1st. Charlie and Alan have already scheduled time starting tomorrow, to work through preliminary site plan issues to try to get our surveyors and engineering design people on board. And everybody, it's been all hands on deck trying to get it done. And I agree with you. You shouldn't. It shouldn't be the everyday thing for you to grant special meetings. But on the other hand, where I would disagree with you, Commissioner, is if depending on the project, depending on the reasons for the ask, if we have good economic development things coming in this city and this commission can accommodate someone for the right reasons, you've done it in the past, and I would hope you would do it in the future. In this case, I think these are the right reasons.
Is that a public hearing, Sean?
This is not?
No, this part is not a public hearing.
Well, it's entirely up to you.
There is public comment.
It's an administrative decision.
Yeah, and how about a date? We might have, that's a problem, too.
Well, June 1st is available.
Meeting, we get
The council chambers are available.
by city charter.
Monday, June 1st. Council chambers are available. That I will tell you that leaves us sufficient time to advertise the public hearing with the required legal notices. I will also tell you that it will allow us to get only one staff review in prior to the June 1st meeting, and the applicant is aware of that. One staff review. If the plan is, and you will be faced with the situation the night of the meeting, you will have the first set of staff comments. I can't tell you, I've looked at the plans very, very preliminarily. I can't tell you whether there's going to be, no comments or 5 comments or 105 comments. I don't know. But we're certainly willing to, undertake our normal staff review, have it done in time, following our normal protocol. We will be able to get a staff review in. You'll have that in time for the meeting. When it gets to June 1st, whatever happens, happens.
And do remember, this is essentially a large modification of a site plan that's already been vetted and approved by this commission. So a lot of the underlying data, drainage, things like that have already been vetted. So it is our professionals who worked on the original site plan that have buildings A and B, just modifying that to meet the current proposal. So
well,
it's not like we don't have the underlying. It's not like a lot of the underlying data.
I do hope that's in fact the case, but I do have to point out that it's not simply a matter of taking a building off the plan and substituting a grassed area for it. There's a parking lot involved, which wasn't on the original approval. Again, that doesn't mean that it won't meet the regulations. It doesn't mean that there are going to be any issues. But I think it explains why this was not, at least at a staff level, this was not considered
a revision to a plan. This wasn't just simply, we're not going to building off and we're going to grass that area over. It was the staff's determination that while it is certainly a modification of what you saw and will look in many ways the same, there are some significant differences which we will vet as part of our normal review, and you'll have the opportunity to see and to discuss and ask questions about and ultimately make a decision on.
And I was going to, as much as I almost hate to say it, but I agree with Attorney Fury that I was going to say the same thing, that hopefully the same engineers, architects, people are working on this plan that worked on it. And we've seen it a couple of times. So I get the sense that although you're referencing some major changes, maybe the underlying design is going to be kind of what we've seen, so we should be able to work through some of those.
I think in many respects that will be the case, but I think in some respects it will be a new plan. And again, if it were simply we're taking a building out and we're just grassing that same area over, the review would be by staff and the commission, the public, I think would be significantly simpler. There's a parking lot there that wasn't there before, and we have to evaluate, as we did with the probate court parking lot and every other site plan. We have to review it and evaluate it and make sure it meets the regulations. The thing that's most important is that notwithstanding housekeeping matters like there's a distance missing or a label, we need to make sure that this plan meets the zoning regulations. You can't approve a plan that doesn't. I have no reason to think that it doesn't, but just everybody needs to keep in mind that if there's something on there that can't be addressed before the June 1st meeting that violates the zoning regulations, well, we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. Let's just kind of leave it at that. So hopefully everything meets the regulations.
So what we're saying generally is everybody has to have all their ducks in a row on January 1st, because if something
June
comes up
1st.
June 1st.
Well, let's put it this way. The applicant and the applicant's design team has to have all its ducks in a row by June 1st.
Right, because there's also the possibility that if it wasn't, there are several of us that may not be available from June 1st to June 10th for anything else.
Well, I will tell you that the only other night that this room is available between June 1st and June 10th is June 8th.
Well, we're hoping that's not necessary, and we understand what we're trying to get done. Everyone's working very hard, and the access to the CHAMP grant funds is a competition, and the state's only going to give out so much money. Bristol is aligned to be the beneficiary of those funds because we really haven't sought them, and the type of project, the zoning regulations you've designed, is ideal for it. You know, the work, play, live, the whole transit-oriented thing, especially with the busway just opening.
The other, if I might, again, in the interest of trying to get the commission to take a vote on this, I think one question that's of major importance is, do we have at least 5 commissioners who will be able to attend June 1st? It's a Monday. It's the first Monday of June. We need to know that we have ideally 5 people who will be able to come to that meeting.
I think so.
Well,
Can't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone.
well, I mean, let's put it this way. We don't want to schedule a public hearing for June 1st and then get to the night of the meeting and there's only 4 commissioners sitting here.
Right, and we're also missing an alternate, so we only have...
Well, you have 7, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that I think all commission members are diligent in trying to attend meetings, and you know, those that aren't here usually have a pretty good reason to.
Again, I think this is an important enough issue for not only the zoning commission but for the city of Bristol that we should all kind of do what we can to make this thing go. You know, let's come here, let's see the application, let's review it, let's all work hard, because again, I'm sick of looking at that bare parking lot across the street, and the zoning commission can play a very big part in getting something done.
That's
So
a
let's all-
personal comment.
Let's
in a
all
public meeting.
see what we can do to be here to participate.
All right, shall we take a vote?
No.
Are you ready to take a vote?
It's a public hearing on the
Can we
3rd.
speak?
Public hearing would be on June 1st, and you will have plenty of time to speak then. This is not a public hearing.
No, but it's a public meeting. And according to the
Mr.
city
Ruiz,
charter,
Mr. Ruiz,
or you, excuse me, don't interrupt. I'm speaking to the commissioner.
knock yourself out.
Okay. Section 49 of the city charter says, at all board and commission meetings, all board meetings shall be public, and all meetings of boards or commissions whose duties involve the transaction of public business shall be held at accessible stated public places, and all meetings and the minutes thereof be open to the public. Any elector shall have the right to appear and be heard at any such meeting as to any business proper to come before said board or commission. So if you're not going to allow us to speak now, you have to schedule us the time to speak at the meeting. Even if it's not a public
You'll have
hearing.
time to speak at the
However,
public.
I want to
at the
speak.
public
No, that's the
hearing.
public
You
hearing
cannot speak
first.
right now. It's not a public hearing right now.
It's a public
It's a
meeting.
public meeting, though.
Are you
But it's not a
saying-
public hearing.
Are you
It's a
saying
public
you're
meeting. This is
denying
the
us
charter
to
right here.
speak
Would you like a
in our
link?
city,
Would you
where
like?
we're taxpayers, and you're not going to allow us to speak, but we sat here
It's not a
while
public-
you gave every
Through the
exception to
chairman, I
everybody
think
else?
something's got to be
You
done here.
really weren't able to, normally you wouldn't have been able to speak anyway, because all we did is schedule it.
That's because you don't follow the city charter. The city charter,
The
section
commission-
49
I'm not
says...
going, Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to get into an argument with
You're
the
not even
Commissioner of
supposed to be
Public.
speaking right
Mr.
now.
Ruiz, I am going to
You're
speak as a
interrupting.
member of the city staff that serves this commission.
I'm speaking to the chairman right now.
Fine. When I'm finished, you can continue to speak to the
I
chairman.
have to stop talking so you can interrupt me while I'm having a conversation with the
I am one of the
commissioner?
staff advisors to the commission, and I'm going to indicate to the commission that
On camera.
if you allow the public to speak
It's not up
during,
to them.
on matters that are strictly administrative matters before this board, you potentially jeopardize
We're in the side.
the application process for one side or the other or both by allowing the public to speak when the proper forum to speak about the matter before the board is the public hearing itself. So the public will have the opportunity to comment upon and speak in favor or against any application at the public hearing stage of the application. Your action when it receives new applications is strictly administrative. There's no discussion between the public and the commission about what is essentially when will you hold a public hearing. Is the application complete? Do you have all the paperwork? And what's the date that you're going to schedule a hearing for? That's an administrative matter. The public is not being denied the opportunity to speak about the application once it's scheduled for public hearing. As I said, if you allow the public to speak on applications outside of the public hearing, you jeopardize that application, whether it's this application or any application.
Is that a legal opinion?
That is my opinion based on 30-plus years as a city
But that
planner.
doesn't mean it's correct.
That's not what the charter says, sir.
Shall we just make a, you want to make a motion for June 1st? And then that'll be listed in the paper.
And we can file a complaint that this was not correctly handled, right?
So is this,
Okay.
are we,
So that'll start.
we're merely scheduling the application? We
Yep.
don't need,
We'll
do we need a
file it.
motion for that? or-
Yes, you need a motion to
Schedule.
schedule the application
Yeah.
for whatever date you choose.
Right, okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we schedule application 2195 to a special meeting to be held on June 1st, 2015, please.
Second.
Question.
Motion is made and seconded. Roll call vote from my right, please. Commissioner Squatoro?
Yes.
Commissioner Chaplinsky?
Yes.
Commissioner DeMastro?
No.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. So the application, the public hearing will be on June
Right.
1st.
So just so it's clear, that will be scheduled for 7 o'clock. Is that correct?
Everyone all right with 7 o'clock?
7 p.m. in the council chambers, in these chambers. Right. Thank you.
Okay, city planners report.
Yeah, I'll find out.
I do have one item. You may recall, I think it may have been about a year ago, this commission approved a site plan for 3 parking lots for Bristol Hospital. On the corner of Goodwin Street, or on Goodwin Street, corner of Queen Street and Harrison Road and Condon Road. And you will also recall that you had asked that by or on or around May 15th that staff inspect those lots to determine the status of them. I can inform you that Mr. Flanagan and I did conduct an inspection of all 3 lots about 2 weeks ago. Pretty much everything that was on the approved plans is in. There's one item in, I think, the Condon Road parking lot that has not yet been installed. All the landscaping is in. I will tell you that some of the landscaping in a couple of the parking lots, including south of Newell Road, took a beating this winter. Not all of it, much of it survived. Some of it took a beating. I have advised Attorney Fury of the situation and have encouraged him to have Bristol Hospital's landscaping contractor, maintenance folks go out, take a look at the status of the landscaping and to make the necessary changes that they might need. We're now in the midst of the spring growing season. This is the perfect time to do that inspection, make any necessary replacements or prunings or whatever. So that's where we stand at this point. I need to speak with Bob Booten, who is the city's sidewalk and driveway inspector, as to the status of the sidewalks and driveway aprons that are associated with these 3 lots, to make sure that Bristol Hospital pulled all its permits and that everything was installed properly. Mr. Booten has been out. He's also, this is a busy time of year for him, but I'm hoping to catch up with him in the next few days to get the answer to that. So by and large, everything looks fine. Once I have my formal inspection report written up, I will provide a copy to Attorney Fury and to the hospital so they can officially be notified. But Attorney Fury is aware of it, at least through telephone.
That's it? Yeah, just
That's it for me.
Just as Alan notes, we plant a lot of beautiful new plants in arborvitae, some in areas not even associated with the actual site plans. If you remember working with a few of the neighbors, and some of it is great, and some of it you can't quite tell yet whether the harsh winter killed it. So they're going to be going through with their landscapers and working it out. And, but they generally came out very nice. With a lot of compliments. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just on an unrelated note, I guess I'll dovetail on what Alan said. Certainly not about Bristol Hospital. I'm talking about commission, the electronic packets. What I did tonight was, and I saw some commissioners grabbing their regulations during the discourse of the meeting, I put on, and I will have on the folder here, the zoning regulations. So it's a PDF, it's searchable by word, so you can just go right to that. And it's a handy little tool to have.